So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming up on our next presentation of poetry in native languages. This is a beautiful gathering of language knowledge that we're carrying. So I'm going to go ahead and, as far as I know, there is possibly PowerPoints along with these. So I would like to do the introduction, starting with Chelsey. Zibell is originally from the Inupiaq community of Norvik, Alaska, where she was immersed in her culture. She obtained a bachelor's in literature and Inupiaq language before going on to earn her master's degree in literature, creative writing, and education. Chelsey is currently the assistant professor of the Inupiaq language at the University of Alaska in Fairbanks. Chelsey, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I am very honored to be a part of this and to introduce this first poem. This first poem is called Gukisana, and Gukisana is a name, specifically the name of one of my ancestors who was reported to be an Angatkok, which in English is often referred to as a shaman, a spiritual leader. And this is kind of her story of how she moved from the Seward Peninsula area of Alaska to the area that I'm from, which is on the Kobuk River in the northwest part of the state. And so I will read in Inupiaq. And before I do this, the two poems that I have were written several years ago, before when my strengths in my language were not as strong. So I would like to give a big shout out to Mvskoke Ron Brower, who was my Inupiaq instructor and had a big part in helping me with these translations. So okay, I'll start. Apikrong anaron angat kurup mangan. Daluk hratait guvit, Damia civilik ukausiran, Mvskoke inurogut, Kauri matangapta. Gukisana singayomaruk, Aulagma unit kamiung samna sinyakrat, Ponganmun ilovluni. Kimuk kami sohuk kalura likada. Imma kanuk tatpang pinira. Sinikharmit angutit nular nalarat aulan angat gota kinirai inusingi davrasi wikramangit kai. Angat go katingisa nunakimi pavrirat. Ilurarmik angutol rolokbat. Solite naisimapta tap go unikpat nularup kangat. Avrirat sulit dugarat. Angat go hutinik suli anronik. Immakanuk inyusa bimarnirat. Nagoni anronga. Aksanirat ilumiuta ataki irnya anigami. Inyuroranyakso. Aksangan ningich, suli anrongich, kanulait gat meklad anronga. Inyurorman dema meklani pituka, demongakramon, kalikumun, aulautinun, suli kakisangonon. So that was a poem about my ancestor who moved away from where she was from and her son was born without fingers, but was said to be a very strong hunter. And she is one of the reasons that I'm here today. Right. And this next poem is called Sangich, Powers. And this one is organized a little differently. Each section has a heading in a language that is in the alternating languages. And I'm going to read from the right side. And this is a poem about a person from my home region named Inupiaq. And he lived in, I think he was alive in the mid to late 19th century. And he was said to have prophesied a lot of the changes that would occur when colonizers entered the area. So, gift. Powers. I have an amulet of flint. Ayon rura ruk nipliksuk an rokak tunga iknisimik simik silarok inyapayam isak panga. He could enter a trance. Alvat lavluni islon rit lap garai arwok duk dot. Inyar malavluni tatkimun kilotikun. Nalup kingay saklu kinyapayak ukpik rangichuk. My grandfather does not do foolish things. Manilyam nipliksuk, Dr. Roma, pingak kangani, ginangalit, kaman nipligu, songat tipeni. He sang words no one could understand. Atururok kangak sinyailanik, ukalugnik, ahrin nipliksuk, Daniel. He drew his arms inside his parka. Kumihuni kumiraktuk. Atirimun ahri duklugik sa mga akorminun. Diguraksik hunasi. Dautuk laitjanik. Ahri kamunga atigimi ilyonon urarlui. I will swallow you. Inyarira inyuhrin. Ayaw na rurak alvarami ivara manilak. Aglan pakit light ka. Pakit magu manilyam inyu si karver. Inyu krujok. Imayrin yaksuk. That is all.
Wow, Keita, también my Chelsey for that beautiful, beautiful words and the language and the translation. Really, really appreciate that. Once again, we're going to move on to Norma Marshall. Are you on board?
Yes, sir.
No. Norma Marshall, a member of the Mvskoke Nation of Oklahoma, has taught at College of Mvskoke Nation for 15 years. A first language speaker of Mvskoke, she's developed curricula and teaches Mvskoke language and Native American study courses. Ms. Marshall is also dedicated student mentor and advisor and has previously worked as a counselor and teacher. She was the American Indian College Fund's Faculty Member of the Year in 2017. She is currently a doctoral candidate in higher education administration at Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where she focuses on researching in cultural learning styles. Miss Norma, the floor is yours.
Hello. Greetings to my brothers and my sisters of many nations. In the writing of this poem, it honors the ancient ones, Hofanogi, for the Mvskoke people, the ancient ones. And it also honors the Jaliki Dati, the ones we lost in the coronavirus pandemic and previous to that because of our heavy loss of first language speakers. And it also comes to the place where it is with my generation and the generations that follow me into the generations that are not yet born. So in the Mvskoke language, as we talk about nature, it can be nature as the seasons of the year, and it can also be nature in the human being who we are as a people. So in Munga is nature, Hisagita is life and breath. So I will do the Mvskoke translation first, and then I will do the English translation following. Ukita in Munga, Pomojat, Hiyan Chigejesche. Seasons, nature we have for us, I say to you. Igana in Mungat, Ugida Ostat Omis. Earth nature, there are 4 seasons. Dasachi, spring. Miski, summer. Thuffle Hagov, autumn. Thuffle, winter. Isti in Munga, Momat, Hisakita, Ogida Ostat, Omis. People nature and breath, life, there are 4 seasons. Hoboiwa, early childhood. Manitdat, youth. Ajuli, elder. Ajuli Mahat, very elder. Idi Bagigo Omagis. It is, they are not separated, divided. Idima Nejagit Omagis. It is, they help each other. Mara.
Once again, thank you, Norma, for those expressing a beautiful poem along with your language. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Ofelia Zepeda. She's a PhD, is the president of the Board of Trustees of the Tohono Community College. Dr. Zepeda is a linguistics professor at the University of Arizona and director of the American Indian Language Development Institute. Her research areas include the O'odham language, language revitalization, and documentation. She is the author of a Tohono O'odham Grammar, 1983, and a published poet. Dr. Ofelia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Again, right now, as it gets warm here, the most important plant is starting to blossom, the saguaro cactus or the hashin, and after that comes the fruit. And one of the first animals that tastes the fruit is the dove. And so just an observation is what this poem is about. Okokoi, dosiwa bakam, hagi mon jif, Mvskoke baidet. Nya swa osim chuak o ipe. One of the reasons I started writing poems in my first language, as was mentioned before, where sometimes we have to create our own material in our language classes. So this is how I got started as a graduate student, writing for my students and with them in O'odham. So that's why some of my first poems are only in O'odham. Okay, so I'll just do this one right here, just the O'odham. Jord e hoi, kusasjo baga met de botchui, en je dat met si hoi gejord. Na pishe dat ahpi, pia. Kusasjo a, kutamse baga met de ahai gejord, ko e hoi. And a hugabaga met sikara mudda, Americana baga rotation. Nya, Kut pum sagap ak, mo gaita. Kut pum sabu erdit, mo on kirk it jawata. Chita and dam gachim oich. Chishachu the jewed masma matamak chicks murit come cow your chishachu. And murder chugama cherry manavitos who muhida coops oich. Skirk of mass. Again a worm with your boy mon golf chugaktash. Chigawam jitty pop posiarik tag you amji. Come a hook, come hood nick tag ya. Yeah. Kentucky masha chidod. I was here to much no pitch. Okay. Thank you. This one is about, again, as the seasons are coming to summer for us right now, the beginning of the autumn year. We are, hopeful for rain, paying attention for rain. And also we honor the rain in words and song. So this is sort of copies some of the autumn song style. Boag mashup himagijuk. Boag mashup himagijuk. Shagupo mo piwohon and pikoitat kagijuk the musika get pioihoin at Cheyenne. Shagupo mo piwohon and pikoitat kagidam kachin. Matokaswa sims wichka. Shagupo mo piwohon and pikoitat kakor the matsahoki mo ima. Shagupo mi piwoho and pikoihogi the swao si jewet. Matakawar the boa. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So that was the third one and final one. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ofelia, for sharing all those beautiful words. Next, we have Dr. Gus Palmer Jr. Dr. Gus Palmer Jr., also known as White Cloud, is a member of the Kiowa tribe. He's a professor emeritus in linguistic anthropology at the University of Oklahoma. He has published 2 books, Telling Stories of the Kiowa Way in 2003 and When Dream Bear Sings in 2018. In addition to language work in his native Kiowa, he has published poems and stories in anthologies and literary magazines. He worked with his son, a filmmaker, Jeffrey Palmer, on the 2018 PBS American Masters documentary film, Mvskoke, Words from a Bear. Dr. Gus Palmer, the floor is yours.
Okay, the first poem is Doyamga, Indian doctoring. My grandfather was a doctor, and probably without him, I wouldn't be around because I grew up and during my childhood, I was very sickly as a child, and so he doctored me quite a bit. So I'm pretty much influenced by my grandfather. And so some of my poems, even the English poems I write, reflect some of my experiences growing up. But, and so I'm obsessed with some of these things, and some of them are about illness and those kinds of things, but there are some very beautiful things that occur in those times of hardship. And I think try to express those things in the poem. So the first one here is Doyamga, and I'll start with Da Dayin Sat Ain't All Sat Ya Go De Hey All Ya Go Tai Seiki Oya De Do and Dong Ya I say go ya do Honde Zel Be Do Boat Honk Ya Ki Do Hon Ba Do Oya De Do and Dong Ya Ga Am Ya Yol Do De Yolom Katai Ki Bako Hai Bon No hon bat all yot all. Ba eight batai. Ba eight batai gund all. Boat gadoi il do. This one here is a Kiowa warrior song. My son did a film. I did a film on me, and I for PBS last 2 falls ago. And this poem was shorter then, and I enlarged it somewhat. And so this represents this song. And it is largely about a modern a veteran, Indians respect and have quite a celebration and ceremony for warriors, men and women. And so this tends to talk, it describes or expresses the feelings of a warrior coming home and what he expects to happen, and the excitement and the enchantment that surrounds his return or her return, either way. Yapa, yapa hey solek e do. Yapa hey solek e ato san. No akon ba a on tanda but aga ato san all day. Dogya amt aga ha day a day ma ball kogo toy ga bake do on day p toy an on say pon day hego hot a don't san hot yat a do san ma yat ba hey so like e a do yat ba hey so like e a do a on do ato sant all day mon ne ta so pan gut do a on do so a doi gut do to dom so em call do echo but so em call do say do a come as sole come toy sole come con ga p toy ga an don de do on do toy ga toy a gil de a oba do de ga mo ho do on go aim say guy ball kogo a salom ho do ball kogo a salom ho do mo o ba pi gui do sole go ya do I get do good a gul on mo do he go ya more cold do he go ya more cold do he go ya more cold do he go a don't san ma be ton goy need all by coop on guy he go be oi be on tagun or by coop on yeah. Okay, next one. This one here is about little girls dancing, and it's goy. Let's see, goy dang goat dog. Yeah, Kiowa. A lot of it's hard to translate it into English, but the first part of it, guys, Kiowa days to sleep, goat dog. Yeah, it'd be hard to sleep, hard to fall asleep, and so as a consequence, you have to sing a lullaby, and it has to do with little girls dancing around, and it was a lullaby to put them to sleep, but it actually describes these little girls who are excitable and playing around and a little feisty and saying, no, we don't want to go to sleep, we'd rather dance. And so it describes that playful event. Maton san do ein pe no gune. Maton san do ein pe no gune no hey go maton shan gum get so ba atoya. Ha tel basam bon hope. Ha tel do. No bats at to ya. But oh gasol on de do on so good that dog go more I say them go I told ya maton to hey begun to stone ge ogo ain to ain goop te gom gog yakun ki gama yakun ki gama. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gus Palmer Jr. Really,
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we come upon our last one here, we started this conference with a keynote, and now we are going to be ending with the poem. I speak of these things because we do these things in a circle. As we come back around, we want to come back to Dr. Richard Littlebear, our keynote speaker from the beginning. Dr. Richard Littlebear was born in Lame Deer, Montana, on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. He served in the United States Army from 1965 to 1967 and was honorably discharged, going on to earn his master's in educational administration from Montana State University and a doctorate of education from the Boston University. Presently, he is a president and interim dean of cultural affairs at Chief Dome College. He's the author of numerous articles and essays on language revitalization, including the highly influential "To Preserve Our Languages, We Must Change Our Teaching Methods," which is the most read and shared article in the Tribal College Journal's 30-plus year archive. Dr. Littlebear is also the author of the foreword for Tribal College Press's recent book, Language Revitalization at Tribal Colleges and Universities. The Cheyenne language is Dr. Littlebear's first language. He learned to read and write the Cheyenne language and considers this his greatest academic achievement. Dr. Richard Littlebear, the floor is yours.
Ammonia saninata. Ikachi gevo. Etischevo often mach vikse. When is it never? Why sa ya ta. Ikachi gia haste. Why ikimanist. Hedani na he Emayas says to you. It is a matter of here, hen nast. To know the most witness number. Ihe ose hoge waarde waar. Dit ik mag hem haar gezinnig. Is hotavata. Het dacht ze hebben moet hij hebben no mo etanot. De is not gifts. Dat kan de spelen met etanot. De is not gifts. De is jam ho gewacht wordt. Ik ga het je wil moeten. Ik ga het je als kopie. Ik dat wist je als servo aan het. De is jam ho gewacht wordt. Ik ga zich wat neven wat aan dit. Ik ga wat neven even was aan dit en dit. En hier de vishuis was de vishuis was dan hier. Ik ga hem haar. Ik ga hem haar even wat mee. En die ga ik als haar bij een even wat mee. Nou niet zo het toch. Dan hou ik. Het dan is dan nog. Ze had de mocht. Ochtend, ik ga daar niet zo nou. Tohono Tomo. And this is the car. The market no bingo. And the next one is there's always a story behind a poem. And the 3 poems I'm going to read, 2 more poems I'm going to read. Each have a story behind them. No, that's all. Haven't. Hit good. Not that's the ish a bit somewhat done it. Now over. Not that she has it done it's the hit good. The issue but it's a sisters to what's done this time a book and a mouth hit the hot. Now over mat na the one of it done. Up at night or may I say sit down. Hit good. It actually the one that have at the hint no oma and it. August. It actually his vision my next. Hen it actually have pivot. Now over. Nasa hit the one of it done. Hit good. It actually kind of with the pivot danced. Now dama. That's all. Have it here. Just Nasa his time it's here knock Naki super some heva hope it no matter on it. It's here Nasa his time. He's in it. It's here Navi Mano Mamo have on me, it's that's all. That is in the honest, but never know. The Asheva, the heart, Mata Omeasa, it's the Nakinemen. It's the Naki and this has a next limited. But the men are much the pivot. Omeasa. How about this? Still, Shina. This the pivot and then sit the sa ever have so much. It's the sa ever haunts it and not. No, this is a man and sit the but they not. Now what Mamma one on it and they have watched. But ma now much Mamma one much. But now much now open hand. Now hit the matame and the much. Tom of it shares it. Tom of it share on me, yes, Upon how this David no oma again. This an half David, Pivinome. It's your Donachin Shom. It's your Nasakanum Befinit in hand. In that hand. The next poem and the last one is Conversation with Grandma. Nishke e. Sha nishke e. Ida se ish haarcho. Ticho oche vees to wat. Na ida se ish haarcho. Ticho oche to wat. An ha hoku wit nida se ish ha ish ho. Na se ish ha ish visive. Just give it she is to it. It's down, that's a bit to ma. Diksa e vishi. Ekutu no wa. Na owa. Just give it. Naksa yaman. Ka o. Tita ha ishu what's done heaven. Next. Next it. Tihishu. Ka od. Nasa hinde. Ko ishu masiyo in the minutes. This gave a po an in the man. This gave her door. Her door to man. This stuff gave her door. Oh yes, this stuff gave her door. They heard that. And it's high her amenast. Oh yes. This stuff give wish. Vikis nisto. Nicho oft. Nicho se vehat. Nino tin. Ticha. Ticha ho omanit. Na ti. Esto woma. Nitayome pivatist in here to so. Nichit gewonnen sitze amoni amo in the support. Nikia dostata. Oh, Dama Gaxon here to Kiamuna. Look a niche get it. Nishke air. It's here not the way Yamuna. Nahene in a niche. Nimta so manatawa no. This is here me or one of her, it was so it in you. Nimta so. Still enough. Nimta so. Staan nachi as a victim. Staan nach. He should win. Staan nachin he should win out. Nasan hit to ha. In that hand. Tita what's your Norma that's all. Tinted. Nacha. Nachin in a tish. Me had done it. Not say, Icho was tired. Not say, oh, a domo was tired. Now, oh, I nishke air, Nahine. Now, Nihine enough. Nahine in a Nichonse. Now, none of him in Tish ha, no it. Sin issue in this, you know. It's a nasa August. Nasa August. Amish. He Tohono. That's it.
Aho, thank you, Mr. Dr. Richard Littlebear. I want to take this time to thank Chelsey, Zibell of the Inupiaq, Norma Marshall, Mvskoke, Ofelia Zepeda of the Tohono, Gus Palmer Jr. of the Kiowa, and once again, Dr. Richard Littlebear of the Northern Cheyenne Nation. We thank each and every one of you for completing this circle with your poetry today. You know, in the words of the Cree, we say, we thank all of you.
I would like to really thank everybody who attended, who listened, who presented, who shared their thoughts and their ideas and their wisdom and the poetry. It's just invaluable. Thank you all so much. I really also thank AHUC staff who helped to put this together and the advisory group. Again, thank you all for attending.